The Planning Board opened Monday night's meeting by reorganizing the board. The new nominations were as follows: Ernie Pachakowski as chair, Brian Hatchie as vice chair, and Robert Bamber as clerk. The first hearing was a continued public hearing for a major project special permit and site plan review for 596 Boston Providence Highway. Following the hearing, the board discussed a special permit for signage at the same location. The final hearing of the meeting was a continued hearing for a definitive subdivision plan at 295 Dean Street. The next meeting for the Planning Board will be April 25th. Also Monday, the Middle School Building Committee met for the first time following last week's positive vote. Justin Tebow of AI3 started the meeting with a project update and timeline update. Following Tebow, Brian Jarvis of Compass Project Management presented the contract for project management services. The next Middle School Building Committee will be on May 2nd. Tuesday was a busy day in government, starting with the Board of Health in the morning. The Board of Health met with their new Community Resource Specialist, Deirdre Carney. The board also met with Carrie McKay and Connor Bronson, both of whom are Regional Public Health Associates. Health Director Stacy Lane provided a COVID-19 update and promoted Household Hazardous Waste Day, which will take place this year on May 7th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., so mark your calendars. Ms. Lane also informed the board that they have started a public health nurse search after receiving resignation from current health nurse Nick Crowninshield. The Board of Health will meet again next month. The Board of Selectmen held a joint meeting with the Planning Board on Tuesday night. The two boards had decided to meet after learning of new legislation coming down from the state level that would enforce new affordable housing zoning on cities and towns that have MBTA service. Planning and Economic Development Director Paul Halkiotis and Assistant Town Planner Sarah Dixon Bouchard presented a PowerPoint highlighting key areas of the upcoming zoning changes that would take effect in 2023.
Housing near train stations, which Norwood has 3, and it's kind of a moving target at this point, where the state has kind of set some guidelines, but there's been a lot of pushback by a lot of the towns that are involved, and they're rethinking some of it.
And communities like Norwood's, where we already have a fair number of multi-housing units, and we've already identified areas in town where multifamily housing is a permitted use, where it already exists. We're more fully built out. They say very specifically that we may not see anything close to that unit count. It's really a hypothetical exercise, a build-out calculation that ensures that the district that we create and the requirements within it are reasonable.
The Board of Selectmen Chairman Bill Plasko, who has a background in public housing, expressed his dissatisfaction with how this was passed down to local communities.
It makes me so upset. The legislation, or the guidelines, before we even get to the legislation, full of inconsistencies and contradictions, and having worked with DHED for 39 years, I'm not surprised. But hopefully they will find a way to correct it by the summer when you get clearer guidelines and ones that make sense. I mean, it makes no sense that they want to call us a bus community, but we have to put these housing units or the zoning within a certain area of train stations that they say we don't have. Because if we had train stations, we'd be a commuter town. So none of it makes any sense. It's just ridiculous. And I read the paper last week, the local paper, the Norwood Record, in the coverage with Chapper and Ms. Heller, and I was so furious when I read that. The way they insult our intelligence, as if this is a tool for the community. This is a mandate on the community. They tell us what we will have, where we will have it, whether we want it or not. They talk about 70,000 housing units, affordable housing units being built across the Commonwealth thanks to 40B. That's what this is, an end round around 40B. Because 40B is getting caught up on, the communities are getting there, and communities like ourselves getting to 1.5%, and they're trying to find another way to get around it, which is fine. I'm not personally opposed to more affordable housing. We've talked about creating some, so I'm not opposed to that. It's the methods and the manners in which they do this and how they try to shove it down the community's throats.
NCM will continue to bring more info on this zoning change as it becomes available. The Board of Selectmen will meet again on April 26th. The Library Board of Trustees held their April meeting in the Simone Room at the library. The board began with a report from Norma Logan, the head of Literacy Services, then moved on to personnel and programming reports, a maintenance repair update, and a Friends of the Library update. In old business, the board discussed MA H4120, an act modernizing library access to electronic books and audiobooks. They also discussed trustee bylaws and policies in the 2022 through 2026 strategic plan. The next Library Board of Trustees meeting will be May 10th. The final meeting of the night was the Trails Advisory Committee. They covered a number of upcoming events, including an Eagle Scout project and Work Day on April 24th, and an Neponset River Watershed Earth Day event at Willet Pond on the 23rd. Following the event, the board discussed a trail mapping app, community preservation and open space master plan projects, and a web page expansion. To end the meeting, the committee discussed completed Norwood Trail walks and trail reports. The next meeting for the Trails Advisory Committee will be later in April. Wednesday afternoon, the Finance Commission met with Town Manager Tony Mizuko, Assistant Town Manager Michael Rosen, and Director of Finance Meg LeMay to discuss the FY 2023 water and sewer and Norwood Light broadband budgets. The group also discussed the timeline for the town meeting budget book. The town administration also unpacked town meeting warrants for the commission. The Finance Commission will meet again in the coming weeks. The school committee met at the Savage Center Wednesday evening. The board was thrilled to welcome NHS students to participate in a mock meeting as NPS superintendent and school committee members. This activity is in partnership with Student Government Day organized by Town Hall. Students represented the board as follows: Junior Mara Beads as the superintendent, Junior Madeline O'Keefe as school committee chair, Junior Samantha Megan, and Sophomore Ananya Ramurthy as school committee members.
So we would like to show a policy about student involvement in decision making, and we would like the high school administrative team to recommend that 5 student advisory members come from the current group of students involved in student government at the high school. The members would include the 9 through 12 vice presidents and the grade 11 president. Alternatives to this makeup could be considered as long as the student is an elected student government position.
The group discussed the language and process necessary to elect student representatives to work with the school committee for the 2023 through 2024 school year.
I would like to make a motion to continue this student decision making after April vacation with Mr. Brown.
And then you can ask if anybody seconds the motion.
Does anyone second the motion?
I second the motion. Okay. And then you can say, is there any further discussion?
Is there any further discussion?
So you can say, seeing none, let's take a vote. So say, seeing none, let's take a vote.
Seeing none, let's take a vote.
So all in favor?
All in favor?
Okay, so that passes 3-0.
All right.
Okay. Wonderful.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
The students voted to work with Strategic Initiatives Director Dana Brown after April vacation to work on language for the student representative applications. The student board adjourned and took a picture with the school committee. Great job, students. Superintendent Thompson provided updates in his Superintendents Report, announcing that a new principal will be selected for the Willet Preschool. Norwood will welcome Michael Bollier to the Willet as principal starting in September. Superintendent Thompson also gave kudos to NHS Principal Hugh Gowan for recently winning a prestigious award.
Last bit of news, big congratulations to Dr. Galligan. Dr. Galligan, for those who don't know, is the principal of Norwood High School, and he was just named the 2022 Massachusetts High School Principal of the Year. So congratulations to him. That is a huge accomplishment and recognition, not just for Mr. Galligan, but for the entire high school. When I was fortunate enough to be named the 2010 Middle School Principal of the Year, it really was a collaborative effort and reflects as much on the person who leads as the people in the classrooms doing the work. So the growth at Norwood High School over the last 5 years has been absolutely incredible. The instructional practice, we've always had great caring teachers at the high school. The instructional practice and the commitment to improving their practice really has made this an exceptional place to work and learn. And if you have not read the last NEASC report, it is, again, a testament to the work of people in that school.
General Manager Tony Mizuko and facility leaders Paul Riccardi and Chris Follin presented a facilities update to the committee. The committee thanked the facilities department for around-the-clock efforts to keep the Norwood schools clean. Paul Riccardi and Chris Follin thanked their team for their exceptional work day after day.
That 2,600 work orders does not include capital projects. So this year we updated all the card swipe entry systems in all the schools. We are doing LED upgrades of corridor lights in all of the elementary schools. We're doing, changing fixtures out in the bathrooms in 4 of the elementary schools. That is the same guys that respond to work orders, but those jobs aren't work orders, they're projects. So these guys do under Chris Rowland, who meets with them every morning at 6 and sets up the day in the week, and it's always subject to change and response. These guys are doing unbelievable work for this town, and they worked every day. The custodians and the maintenance guys have been in these buildings every day since COVID, nonstop. A lot of them have not taken their vacation time, especially in the 2-man buildings, because with COVID and with the issues over lunch and separating the kids and eating in multiple places, it's been a huge workload for them. And you know, we haven't heard one complaint. These guys just come in every day and do their job. And I'm just gonna let Chris tell you what he's been telling me for 15 years.
I won't beat a dead horse, but for instance, tomorrow morning, the guys, facilities guys, licensed electrician, plumber, 2 craftsmen, locksmiths, are going to the high school to move all the band equipment to Blue Hill Country Club for the Jazz Festival. So there's another thing, these guys do that. I don't think it goes unnoticed, not on our end it doesn't, but, and there's never a complaint. So we have a bunch of tradesmen that are out there doing anything. We went in and out of Boston on a couple of occasions in the middle of COVID and the epidemic to the Greater Boston Food Bank for the Mustang Food Pantry. Went up there and we were at the schools on several occasions helping the food service people give out the free lunches. And these guys never complain. And the custodians, the same thing. It's a fantastic group of guys and gal. We can't forget Linda. We have Linda Pungitori now, and she's great. So, but they're great. And Tony alluded to Wellesley. I would take our group, and we did a lot of work behind the scenes, Paul and I, getting this off the ground a couple of years ago with the help of Tony and God rest his soul, Dave Hajar. We wanted to handpick the team, and I told Paul we could get this thing going and it will work, it'll be a success if we can put the right players in. And we got it done, and these guys, we had guys that worked, a licensed plumber, Steve Eckhart, who was with the company for 30, 40 years, J.C. Jacobs, and he left to come on board with us. And we stole Paul Campbell from his alarm company. Those 2 guys had more knowledge of the town buildings, not the school buildings, than we did, because that, you know, J.C. Jacobs was doing all the plumbing work. So all that added to the team, the crew, and I'd put them up against any facilities team that there is. And you could, I would tell you, bet your money on them, because they're that good. And we can rely on them for anything. Snow removal, they're the guys out there in the trucks plowing snow, 2 o'clock in the morning. So they do it all, and they never complain, so.
The board discussed the long-term agenda and superintendent goals. Director of Strategic Initiatives Dana Brown presented information to the group regarding the William James College partnership. Before adjournment, the group discussed school committee goals for the upcoming school year. The board meets again on May 4th. The Community Preservation Committee took up CPA warrant articles and motions at their meeting on Wednesday night. The committee reviewed project information worksheets and discussed the project closeout process. They also reviewed the FY23 estimated revenue proposal. The Community Preservation Committee will meet again on April 27th. And for complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government Channel or watch on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org.